isn't it? It's the Egyptians' fault, it's the Americans' fault, it's the Israelis' fault.
Yes.
But the fact is, you have had plenty of negotiations with Fatah, and you're the ones who won't sign the peace deal. So you're the obstacle.
Of course, the Palestinians are responsible for that. But
Your side too.
Yes, but you must not ignore the factors of Americans, of Israelis, factor of Egyptians.
Okay, but let's talk about your responsibility. You say you bear some responsibility for this. Why have you felt unable to sign this peace deal? Isn't it more important to stop the killing of Palestinians by Palestinians than to have political differences with Fatah?
You know, you are talking with killing
what's
Palestinians.
the most important thing
no
for you?
killing Palestinians now. If you are talking about 3 years ago, since 3 years ago, there is no Palestinians killing. Now
You've got hundreds of Fatah supporters in your jail, just as they have hundreds of your supporters in their jails.
You know, every revolution have internal problems.
That's a bit more than a... We're not talking about parking offences here. We're talking about hundreds of people in each other's jails.
Every revolution have internal problems. Why we are negotiating with our brothers in Fatah? Because we want to go outside of the circle. This is our responsibility.
Where are the negotiations going? They're going nowhere because you've blocked them.
You can't ignore the American pressure.
Mohammad Nazzal, Mahmoud Abbas, the president of Fatah, he says that it's Iran that is stopping you. He said that it's Iran that is stopping Hamas from signing this agreement. Is that true?
No.
The Iranians are saying to you, stop, don't sign this agreement.
No. You know, I want to tell you, there is a propaganda. They are always talking that Iran is behind of Hamas. Syria is behind of Hamas. Qatar is behind of Hamas. This is what they are saying.
And you're saying Fatah is in league with the Israelis?
No, we are not saying that.
Well,
we are saying
your
that...
Your spokesman said it.
He
said Fatah is collaborating with the Israeli occupation to the detriment of the Palestinian cause. They just said
You know what we are saying? We are saying that there is interference from American and Israeli sides. This is what we are saying.
All right, okay. Mohammad Nazzal, thank you very much indeed. So now let me please ask Abdullah Abdullah from Fatah to give his view of the conflict with Hamas.
Almost 3 years ago, we had a split in the Palestinian society, in the Palestinian national movement, and some sides tried to use some pretexts to justify what happened at that time. But almost 3 years ago have passed with all its bad times, with all its negatives, with all its detriment to the progress of our national cause. The response of Hamas to the Goldstone report, in my opinion, is a signal that ushers a new way to reconciliation. Hamas no more can claim the political differences with Fatah is too wide to reconcile. Hamas recognized twice in its response to Goldstone that Oslo agreement was arguing for it and attacking the Israeli practices. Hamas also recognized that continued attack on Israel militarily at this time is not in the national interest of Palestine. The change of heart of Hamas against the military use in Gaza Strip, it doesn't mean that they're abandoning their right to resist the occupier, doesn't mean that it is a sign of cowardice, but rather a new reality learned through direct experience, although we don't prefer to be the disciples of Montesquieu in order to have every lesson learned through direct experience. We realized in the past 2 years that resistance with one in Gaza Strip did not bring us closer to liberation. We realized that negotiations, when we were divided, did not take us anywhere. Therefore, the ground is prepared for our unity to reconcile and work ahead for the challenges facing us.
Abdullah Abdullah, thank you very much indeed. So with all this unity and all this struggle to keep your cause alive, why don't you have a peace deal with Hamas?
Exactly. We offered our hand. We still do. In fact,
so who's to blame? Is it Iran, as your president says?
That doesn't bring us any closer.
Is it Iran?
Us. It is us.
Is it? Well, your president seems to think it's Iran.
But there are influences. We don't deny that. There are influences, there are regional interests. But finally, the answer...
Isn't that what you're afraid of, Hamas connection with Iran?
The answer lies with us. We want every connection we have to any country, whichever that country may be, to serve the cause of our people. We are not afraid of connections. We had connections.
What would serve the cause of your people, Abdullah, is to get a peace deal, wouldn't it?
It's not a peace deal, it's a unity.
Well, we have a reconciliation agreement.
We have to consolidate our internal front. We have to strengthen the steadfastness of our people. That cannot come if we are divided.
Failed.
It only comes when we are together.
And you have
Their
failed
flesh is our flesh.
After year
Their blood
after
is our
year.
blood.
Excuse me. You have failed year after year after year. Why don't you admit defeat and ask somebody else to come and do the negotiating for you? Because clearly, your leaders aren't capable of doing it, are they?
Our leaders from day one said they are leading a national liberation front. This national liberation front, the people's warfare, takes a long time.
Poverty,
but it has
corruption, death, torture, extrajudicial killing. That's been the menu that your regime has inflicted on the Palestinians.
That is not the reality. The reality
that is the reality
building,
because every human rights group tells you it is.
No, the reality is building our institutions, keeping our commitment to the realization of our national rights of our people, not compromising one iota of these rights, with all the difficulties, with all the hardships, and standing up high in the face of the challenges of our enemy, and we will succeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now let me please ask Osama Hamdan from Hamas to give us his view of the conflict with Fatah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I have to say first that the problem or the division is a political division. It's between two opinions. How to deal with the Israelis, how to freedom our people, and how to liberate our country. We believe in Hamas, and we are still committed to the resistance. And we believe it's an idea how to manage the struggle with the occupation, not to fall in love with this occupation like what we have seen in the last years. The negotiations for about 20 years did nothing but more suffering for the Palestinians and more losses. What is happening now in Jerusalem, in West Bank, building settlements is a clear sign for that. Everyone knows that we have tried hard to achieve a reconciliation, but this is not supposed to be by force. It's supposed to be by understanding, talking to each other. We have always rejected the outside interference, mainly the United States and Israel. We believe we have to stand together as Palestinians to face all the political pressures on our people and on our cause. In fact, I believe we have to have a direct talking and a direct dialogue on the highest Palestinian level. We have also to discuss the national unity on the basis of the partnership. No one can say that he is the only side who can control and lead the Palestinians by himself. We gave our hand to our brothers in Fatah, knowing that finally we have to reunite. No one can achieve his goals by the division. Thank you.
Osama Hamdan, thank you very much. You say you gave your hand to Fatah, but you won't sign the peace agreement with them. Why not?
It's not a peace agreement. It's a paper which was written by the Egyptians. There is differences between what we have agreed on with Fatah and the written in the paper. So we said, let's return back to the papers which we have signed on. If that happened, we will sign directly.
There's been a draft for 5 months. It's not going anywhere.
The
Why
draft,
not?
There was an initial draft which he has accepted. Then changes came to this draft. Those changes came by the pressure of the United States. That's clear. David Hill led those pressures.
So again, it's somebody else's fault. You don't take
No,
any
it's not-
responsibility for this.
Excuse me, it's not somebody's fault. We had a